Flicker Wisp?
Well, no, they played Flicker Wisp in the Mangor Condor deck, but now they're playing a Stoneforge Mystic package, and Recruiter of the Guard, and the Palace Jailer, and all of these.
So good.
Recruiter of the Guard's an insane Magic card.
Even Palace Jailer, like that card is just like I love that card because if you have nothing to do with the grabbing it back or anything, like.
And that's what we might see here because Justin's deck is very threat light. So if Michael just lands a Palace Jailer and just becomes the Monarch and starts drawing 2 cards a turn, that said, Justin also can draw 2 cards a turn because he's playing Jace the Mind Sculptor, right?
Yeah, for sure. A good old Jace, my favorite.
Those mismatched flames out of Michael Rogers.
Ugh, tilting.
I know,
so
right?
Tilting. So we have a Thalia that comes down on Michael Rogers' side, and we'll see how Justin's going to react, I guess, to that later on.
So this is going to be kind of interesting because as of recently, Miracles, and I know that Justin's been doing this in particular, has been adopting Accumulated Knowledge as part of its regular cantrip suite, and Accumulated Knowledge costs 3 under a Thalia, and 3's a lot of mana in Legacy, right?
Yeah. Especially, like, there can be several turns where it's like Wasteland,
mm-hmm.
and you just punish your opponent.
But I mean, this is Miracles. That Wasteland is not going to be... Oh, yeah. But that's a Rishadan port, so...
That is a Rishadan port, so that could be... Yeah, is that...
Tapping the land on Justin's upkeep?
Yep.
Here comes a Polluted Delta. Untapping, draw.
It looks like he drew a plane, so... Yep. I mean, he at least has the mana that he's going to be able to perform some magic because
I was wondering if that was
perform some magic.
I was wondering if that was where a third mismatched planes come from Michael Rogers, and here's what is that? That is Brightling.
Yes.
So that's a new card from Conspiracy, which has 15,000 abilities. I don't know what they all are. I think it like gains lifelink and it flickers itself and power and toughness swapping, and I don't know. It does a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. That card was, I think, definitely the sleeper of the set, and then just kind of went through the roof a few weeks after the set was released, and it's just...
Interestingly, it appears that Brightling is in near mint condition.
It's true. It looks very good.
You can see the NM at the top on the top corner of his sleeve there. Yeah.
Yep.
That looks like a near mint condition Brightling there from Michael Rogers.
Yep. And Justin's like wondering, what does Brightling do again?
Justin has to read those 5 abilities before he decides he's going to force or will that Brightling.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the safest play Justin can make, because Brightling just being there is a huge threat for Justin.
Oh yeah, that thing's like impossible to get off the table too, right? Does it flicker or does it slide?
I'm not 100% sure. It probably flickers.
Yeah, because they tend not to do slide anymore, right?
Yeah.
So Justin plays a land for the turn and ships it back.
Yep. It looks like a foreign black border scrubland? No. Tundra, yes. I don't know why I said scrubland.
Yeah. Yeah, Justin's mana base here. You see his lands match fairly well.
Yep.
There's
consistency.
There's consistency here.
Yes.
Mike Rogers may have just gone to the land bin at the beginning of the tournament and just pulled out whatever he could find.
That is a possibility, but yeah, so it looks like that's a wasteland now down on his side.
That's a wasteland.
That's a plains behind it.
Yeah, it's a plains behind it, yeah.
All these mismatched lenses kind of like... It's just making me think.
Wasteland of the Tundra floats some mana, and what's Justin going to do with this floated mana? He's going to... Yeah, there's the 3 mana AK that we were discussing earlier. Yeah. The old 3 mana draw 1 card.
Seems good.
Quality legacy plays.
Yeah. So the plains gets tapped down for this turn, and then he cracks the delta, putting him to 11. Yeah. So, he gets an island. Okay.
Yeah, because he's playing. He knows that Death and Tax is a wasteland deck, so he's going to fetch basics as much as he can, right?
Yeah. Now, he's playing how many basics?
He is on 7 basics. So Miracles tends to be standard on somewhere between 7 to 9 basics, depending on how many basic islands you're playing. But since Justin is playing the Red Splash, The red splashy tend to be on the lower side of basics, and the basics are where the volcanic islands come out of.
Okay.
So there's a 2-mana preordain for Justin on the bottom. Now I feel like preordain would not be banned in modern
so
if it costs 2 mana.
He drew a volcanic island off of that preordain.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so there's a volcanic island anyway.
Yep. So he has his red now.
But he doesn't play any red cards in the main deck.
No, it's obviously clearly in the sideboard.
Yeah,
with,
so the
Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast.
Yeah. So that's just a non-basic island right there.
Yeah.
But what it is though is it's mana to cast a Force of Will if he needs to.
Yes. Another swing in with Thalia. Thalia's been putting a lot of pressure on Justin this game.
I mean that's kind of how this Death and Taxes deck works, right? Is that against in some matchups you just land a Thalia, now all their spells cost 1 more, right?
Yeah.
And then they're casting 3 mana draw one card, right?
That's never good. Like never good.
So it looks like Justin's got a counterspell in his hand.
Yeah, and it looks like he also he did draw the Delta off of
His draw for turn,
yeah.
And
now,
for Mike's hand here, we can't get a great look at it, but it does look those 2 cards on the left are both planes.
Yeah.
Although they do match, so I'm kind of questioning whether, Oh, and that looks like the card in the front of his hand is also a planes.
Yep. Is that a Jite?
That is a Jite.
Yeah.
That's a Jite. This is bad news bears for Justin because he needs an answer to this Thalia quick, and now otherwise he's going to get Jite to death.
Yep. So it looks like he's going to crack his fetch and maybe brainstorm and
Oh no, he had a counterspell in his hand. Though.
Oh, does he have a counterspell?
He has a counterspell.
Okay.
He has a counterspell. So he's cracking that Delta to cast this counterspell that we're going to see in just a moment here.
So grabs another Tundra,
Yeah.
which is now the second one out of his deck.
Yes.
So
that is the last Tundra that he has access to. And now he's going to be casting this counter. He's got to be casting this counterspell against his GT now.
Yeah, I don't really see if leaving GT up like that is pretty.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. 3 mana counter spells. This is standard all over again.
Oh yeah, we are canceling here right now.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing here.
All right, so Port decides to hit the Tundra, and
now this is still Justin's upkeep. So Justin might be doing something with this mana.
Yep.
Looks like he's not. He's just going to take a draw. Ooh, there we go. We found the answer to Thalia.
There's the extra mana for the tax, and Thalia goes to the bottom unless
we are putting Thalia on the bottom. So there goes Mike. There goes Mike's clock.
Yep.
So Mike's gonna untap here, draw a card. It looks like that was a Flicker Wisp in his hand. There's an Aether Vial off the top. So Aether Vial is kind of in an interesting place in this matchup where it stops Justin from countering. Oh, there's a backup Thalia.
Okay. And there's a Brainstorm. Now it looks like there's a Force of Will there, but it doesn't look like there's another blue card with his hand.
No, I think that's a Ponder at the front of his hand there.
Is that a Ponder?
I think that's a Ponder.
Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like he's putting back 2 cards, and then his last 2 cards are going to be forcing a blue card.
Yep, which I think is probably the safest play you can make. Because you're going to put back the 2 cards that you want to be able to play immediately, or at least put on some pressure, or even,
Yeah.
if, like, what does this list? This has...
So now Justin's thinking if he wants to empty his hand into this Thalia. And I mean, that's kind of weird. That's kind of... Oh, he decides not to, because it looks like Mike's tapping some mana here. So it looks like Justin's past priority. Here's a Flicker Wisp.
Okay. So
I guess that's just a 3-1. Mike just wants to get on the board and get this game over with as quickly as possible.
Yeah, with Justin being at 6, Flicker Wisp is a little bit of a, there. So
and now Mike's hand is empty. Mike is now hellbent with 5 power on the table.
And so.
And here we go.
Yeah, Justin did not force it, and instead he's going to ponder here. I think you want...
Was that a Monastery Mentor that Justin just drew for turn?
I think it was.
Because that's kind of strange that he didn't play them. Because, like, what he could do is he can just play the Monastery Mentor, take 5, go to 1, then jam that Ponder the next turn, and then he makes a token. But although I guess he needs to find an answer to that Flicker Wisp right now because Monster Mentor doesn't solve that problem for him.
No. The shuffle is kind of risky. Like, I mean, but
I mean, Justin doesn't really have too many choices, right? He's basically on plow or bust right now, right?
yeah, or something to like, or another terminus, or something to get those creatures down.
Oh, found it! There it is. There's the swords.
There it is.
So the question now is for Justin: is he going to plow now or plow later?
I think. Well, Michael has no cards in his hand. He obviously needs to answer one of them. Mm-hmm. You either answer the Flicker Wisp or you answer
Justin's going to pass the turn.
So I think this is dangerous to pass the turn. But
I mean, what's the worst thing that can possibly happen, right? So like,
well, I guess yeah. I mean, theoretically, he could draw like a Mother of Ruins, and do that. But yeah, he's gonna take it the Flicker Wisp, which is probably the safest of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin has enough lands that if he does happen to draw Terminus this coming turn, then he can still pay for the Thali attacks.
Right.
And he draws a Flooded Strand.
Now here's the Mentor.
Yep.
So his last card in hand is Force of Will. There's Mother of Runes, and now we're gonna have an unblockable Thalia.
Yep, that's. But we still have to wait a turn.
Yeah. No, we don't. He played it on the end step. He
violed it in. All right, so then no, we don't.
Yeah, he violed it in on end step. So we have that Mother of Runes is good to go right now.
And Justin is tapped out with just a Force in hand.
I mean, technically he could cast that Force if he had a blue card, but unfortunately that Force is alone in Justin's hand right now.
Mm-hmm. So I think you.
Oh, so Mike, just to be safe, Mike is tapping down the Flooded Strand before he goes to combat to see what Justin does.
I think you just tap it. Like, I mean,
because the consideration here, right, is that Justin kind of needs his mana, because Miracles only Justin's playing. He's playing the standard Miracles mana base, so he's on. Is that 19 or he's on 20 land? So he's on a little bit more mana than other Miracles decks are, but he's still like his deck needs to cast a lot of expensive spells, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Okay, so this is interesting. So I think Justin thinks that his out. No, because that doesn't even work though. Because I was thinking, what happens if Justin draws a Jace the Mind Sculptor, right?
If he draws a Jace, he can play it at least, and then.
Yeah, that might actually be Justin's play, right? Because Mike. Yeah, so Mike's going to give his Thalia protection, and he's going to attack, right? So if Justin draws Jace, then he taps out for that's the line he's on.
He has to tap out, yeah.
Yeah, so he taps out for Jace. Okay. Okay, Wasteland. There was a Wasteland there.
And it looks like that he drew another Force of Will.
Ooh.
Or no, sorry, no, it's not a Force of Will. It is a
Preordain.
Okay.
Interesting that Justin is tapping 2 blue mana for that.
Yeah, that is definitely something I would not want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, because Justin is once again on Swords or Bust. And he finds the swords again.
Yeah, I mean...
Must be nice to be good at Magic.
He just bottomed a Brainstorm and a Jace. Like, so he's clearly digging for the answer.
Yeah.
And of course he gets another Monk token.
Yep.
Nope.
So, Justin attacking here for 4.
Yep. So, it looks like that Mike now has to land a creature and keep it protected with Mother of Ruins. But I believe the monks are 1/1 with prowess?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So, alright, what's coming down here?
Here's an Aether Vial.
Yeah. And this is what I hate about Death and Taxes lists, or really any list that runs Aether Vial. At some point in the game, you draw Aether Vial off the top, you it's an awful draw. There's like
Oh yeah, I used to play Merfolk in Legacy,
mhm.
and like way back when, and like that was always the worst when you're like deep into the game and you're just like, here's an island, here's a wasteland, here's an Aether Vial, and you're just like, oh, can I just draw a creature ever, please?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I understand Ether Vial decks. I understand why they are like what they are, but I think cards like Cavern of Souls and other
Wait,
things.
what? Wait. Justin just attacked with everything with Michael having lethal back.
So what does Justin do in
What?
here? I think he was just attacking to attack, and then.
But he wasn't dead. What? I don't understand what went on. What happened there?
All right, so let's talk about sideboards. So what?
I do not understand the ending of that game. Anyway,
Uh,
maybe Justin just attacked and then realized he misplayed and scooped.
Perhaps. So what does Justin bring in against Death and Taxes?
So Flusterstorm definitely not against the creature deck.
Yeah.
His Red Blast definitely not against the non-blue deck. Celestial Purge also has no targets.
And so you bring in Entreat the Angels.
Do you though? Because Entreat the Angels is really bad against Thalia.
Yeah, it's true. It is.
Surgical Extraction,
so-
back to basics. Oh, Disenchant and Council's Judgment are definitely coming in.
Oh, for sure.
So those three cards are definitely coming in.
So
It looks like he's bringing back to basics.
No, that's interesting.
That's kind of. Although I guess
that takes care of the Rishadan ports and maybe the Wastelands, but I mean that's still kind of risky.
yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I don't know about that too much.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of bringing back to basics.
All right. So what does Michael bring in?
For Michael's got Aethersworn Canonist, which is really good against Monastery Mentor. Lean and Relic Warder probably. I mean, Lean and Relic Warder, I guess, comes in if Michael actually cares about the fact that Justin's going to bring him back to basics.
Yeah, I think you bring in Michael's list. I think you bring in the extra Stoneforge Mystic and the Palace Jailer.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we were talking to Michael earlier in the booth, and he mentioned that Revelark is for these types of matchups.
Really?
Where you can just play the value Revelark and just be like, hey, here's my Revelark. I got a board now.
I mean, that makes sense because he's not suffering from wasteland effects as much as what his opponent will be, so he's gonna possibly hit. What does Revelark cost? Like
Revelark costs 5 to cast and 6 to evoke.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty safe, especially if because Revelark grabs from your bin, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean that's really safe, but.
Oh, there's a Gideon Ally of Zendikar in Mike's sideboard, and that is definitely tailor-made for this matchup.
Now, how does Justin deal with a Gideon? Let's see. Other than counter magic, what is his real threat against Gideon if he comes down?
Right. So kind of this is kind of one of the things. So I was talking to some of the other Miracles players here today about playing Snapcaster Mage versus Mission Briefing, and what a lot of people are saying is that, and Justin included, is that they prefer to play Snapcaster Mage because you can play it against Planeswalker decks. Otherwise, Miracles is really weak to Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
But one Planeswalker that Snapcaster Mage is really bad against happens to be this Gideon Ally of Zendikar, right?
Yeah, Gideon Ally of Zendikar, like, when it hit Standard, it was a sleeper. Mm-hmm. When Standard switched over to, as it got more in depth, Gideon Ally of Zendikar just became really strong, along with Chandra, and it was you could not deal with Gideon.
Yeah,
and that's still even today, a Gideon Ally of Zendikar, if it lands and you are on the defense already, there's not much you can really do about it. Unless you are running, as I said, the counter magic or something, get rid of it right away.
Well, I mean, specifically, the reason why Snapcaster Mage doesn't line up against Gideon is because when you play Gideon, the standard play is you go Gideon and then you zero it and you make a 2/2, right?
Yeah.
And the Snapcaster Mage is going to trade off with that 2/2 and Gideon's going to stick around, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a lot of the Miracles players are kind of on this Snapcaster plan because it deals with Planeswalkers. I'm not too sure about that. I'm a huge fan of Mission Briefing myself.
I've been playing a lot of Mission Briefing lately on Arena, and I'm definitely a fan of it. I think ultimately I would probably choose Snapcaster Mage though, and again the argument is this: you want a creature to apply some pressure. Sometimes bolt path, or not path, swords, any one drop spell that's removal against a threat is pretty good. But again,
Yeah.
Gideon, you're going to have a tough matchup.
Yeah. I mean, for me, kind of the way that I think about it is Miracles is not a deck that needs pressure, right? You're just going to kill them with Jace or with Mentor eventually.
Yeah.
And then in standard, Mission Briefing is not great, but because you don't have these cards like, I mean, in particular, Force of Will, where you can cast a Force of Will off of Mission Briefing,
Yeah.
which is like a really sweet play. I definitely did that at least once today.
Oh, nice. So it looks like they are shuffling up here, and they've presented their decks. Now,
So I would definitely expect to see that Gideon Ally Zendikar out of Michael, and I would expect to see Council's Judgment for Justin's Jaces.
Actually, it's not. He's still in the middle of... He's decided to change a card out of his sideboard while shuffling.
That looks like a Palace Jailer.
Yeah.
That he just tucked in under there.
Now, I may be wrong, but I think he took a land out.
Yes, that looks like Plains he sideboarded out.
Yes, a Amonkhet Plains, to be exact.
That's a Battle for Zendikar Plains.
Was that a Battle for Zendikar
That's
Plains?
a Battle for Zendikar Plains.
Okay.
I know because it looks a lot like the original Zendikar Plains, my personal favorite Plains with the John Avon art. But it's slightly different. I believe that one is from Battle for Zendikar.
Okay. I trust your eyes and the fact that I've actually forgotten my glasses today. So I was like, hey, that's that bright sunset from Amonkhet. So, what do you think your ideal hand is for both players?
Now, that's kind of interesting, because in the context of Legacy, right, is that these decks can have so many different game plans depending on each other. So I don't know if you can really say like what's your ideal hand, because your ideal hand depends on a lot on what your opponent's trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm level 1 is kind of Michael's going to be playing a whole bunch of creatures, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm Justin, I want to be playing a bunch of cantrips so that I can set up a Terminus on top of my deck to deal with Mike's Rush, right? But Mike can just kind of play it, can just kind of slow play it and just be like, here's a Brightling, here's a Flicker Wisp, here's a Thalia, here's a whatever, and then Justin's like, well, here's my Terminus, and I'm going to kill one guy with it, and Michael's like, okay, here's another guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, if he lands a Mentor and has the cantrips to back it up, that does put a lot of pressure on Michael, because you know what is there, even Brightling is only a 3/3.
Right.
And your creatures aren't that thing. Other than Thalia having first strike, there's not really much of something there with big butts. And you have Mother of Runes. If there's no Mother of Runes on the table, and you are continually applying pressure in that, it's game over.
Right, so I mean that's kind of Justin's level 1, because Justin's level 1 hand is Mike is probably has a hand with Mother of Runes, right? Mm-hmm. So Justin probably wants to either have a hand with a bunch of Swords to Plowshares to get those Mother of Runes right away, or he wants to just beat down with a Mentor, right?
Yeah.
But if Justin's plan is to beat down with Mentor, then Michael could just Thalia him, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of like where the texture of Legacy comes into play, where you can't really say like what's your ideal hand, because it really depends. It depends not even on your what deck your opponent's playing, because these players can't change the decks between games, obviously. But it comes down to even what exactly is the game plan of these particular decks. Especially with these non-blue decks, because these non-blue decks tend to have these wildly varying game plans where Michael can play like a control game where he goes like Thalia and has this like Mystic maybe and has this like Batter Skull and just like beats down with that. Or he can just kind of play the go wide plan, right? The go wide rush plan, right?
Now Michael has mulliganed to 6, and the top of his card was a Plains. Now, from what I can see of what I saw of Michael's hand, it looks like a Rishan Port, some land, and Aether Vial. It doesn't look like there's a lot of pressure there, but there's a lot of stuff to start setting him up.
Right.
And again, you're playing against Miracles. They have a long-term plan. They don't really have a short-term game unless they're going really aggro.
I mean, that said, I've definitely played against Justin where he's just gone Mentor on 3, kill you on 5, right?
Yeah.
Those games definitely do happen. I've definitely seen Justin play that game too, so he knows what he's doing.
Alright, so off the Brainstorm, it looks like a Force...
Is that a Containment Priest? That's a Terminus.
That is a Terminus, yes.
That's a Terminus.
So I think, you want to...
Oh, Justin's not even playing Containment Priest in his list. Interesting.
So what is that? What is that white card then?
Taking off your store credit? Yeah. So we have a fetch from Justin here.
And probably gets a planes.
Oh no, you can't get a planes. That's polluted delta.
Oh, is that polluted delta?
That's a polluted delta. Yeah.
Okay. The old OG foiling on it.
OG
so-
foiling, OG art, OG foiling. Thank you. Do I? Buddy might ask you to pick up some cards for him, so I got
Excellent.
got some cards supporting the store, the Hairy Tarantula, located at 3456 Yonge Street in Toronto.
Yep. And you can find us online at harryt.com. And of course, you can go to our store and shop there or come drop by.
Anyway, so we have an AK for Justin here. He drew one card off that accumulated knowledge.
Yep.
Looks
and
like
he paid 2 for it, which is much better than paying the 3.
Oh, much better.
Yeah. So
It's like, almost a reach through mists.
yeah, almost.
Almost a reach through mists. That moment when you're comparing your legacy card to reach through mist and feeling good about it. Okay, there's a Sanctum Prelate.
No.
So that guy is basically, for those who haven't played against Sanctum Prelate, because it's basically only played in this Death and Taxes deck, it's basically Chalice of the Void, but you get to choose whatever number you want. So Mike's just like, I want a Chalice on 1, and then he gets a Chalice on 1. Or he can be like, I want a Chalice on 5 for your Force of Will that Justin just played. And then he can have a Chalice on 5 if he wants it.
Yeah.
But Justin's having none of that, and he's going, and that's actually particularly interesting because this Miracles deck, the way that it's kind of evolved and the way that Justin's kind of built it, is much more reliant on 2 drops than it is on 1 drops, right? So Chalice on 1 is, you can kind of play through it with a Miracles deck, but Chalice on 2 is real hard.
So
here's another, that looks also like a Plains, that's a Horizon Canopy, that's a new art of Horizon Canopy from Masters 25.
Yep.
Or whatever, not Masters 25, Ultimate Masters, whatever set that card was in. So here's Recruiter the Guard, which basically lets an interesting card because when it was first printed, it was obviously a callback to Imperial Recruiter, which is a red card from Portal 3 Kingdoms, which was extremely expensive until it was reprinted. At which point, people realized nobody actually wants that card. But
yeah, because only one deck plays it, and that is
Imperial Painter.
Yeah, Imperial Painter. It's like
right. So when that card came out, when Recruiter of the Guard came out, people were comparing it to Imperial Recruiter, and the problem being that it couldn't find Painter Servant because Painter Servant has 3 toughness.
Yeah.
But it turns out that Recruiter of the Guard finding things with 2 or less toughness is really great, but just not in the same context as Imperial Recruiter is.
Yeah. I mean, any time where you can search through your deck and get an answer is always solid magic. It is probably one of, I think, my favorite things to do. I don't play much Commander, but my coworker does, and he has one deck where it's just all it is like tutors and planeswalkers. It is the most fun deck to play.
I mean, I would love to go off about how I played Recruiter of the Guard in Alurin a while ago, where I can find all of your combo pieces.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, neither of these players are playing Alurin, so let's get back to kind of what this actual match of Magic is that we're playing. So it looks like Michael drew a Plains off the top.
Yeah. Now it looks like he does have a Rishadan port in his hand.
Does he? I didn't see
think
that.
So. I think the Horizon Canopy. I think he played Horizon Canopy over it. And I think
Yeah. So this is the Plains that he drew for turn.
Yeah.
And here comes Palace Jailer.
Yeah.
So here comes Palace Jailer. So Palace Jailer, this uses the Monarch mechanic from Conspiracy 2, where basically Michael gets a personal Howling Mine until Justin can deal combat damage to him. And this Miracles deck playing, so in Justin's list, he's playing 3 Snapcaster Mages and 2 Monastery Mentors.
Yeah.
And those are the only creatures in his entire 75 card deck, right? So he's going to have a really hard time getting this Monarch token away from Michael.
I also think that Justin right now needs to get a 4th land drop because he's sitting on a Jace in his hand.
Oh yeah.
So
And it looks like he missed his land drop, so it looks like
Yeah.
he's out of lands. So it also looks like he's got a bunch of white cards. I see a Council's Judgment there. I see a Swords
Yeah.
to Plowshares there, and I think I also see a Terminus there.
yep.
So Justin's on some bad times, bad news bears here. Oh, and there's
There
the
it is.
Gideon.
All right, so you can't let this resolve.
Oh
There's-
no, Justin! No, if Justin doesn't counter this, Justin does not have a counter spell in his hand. This is a definite read from Michael. I mean, the Palace Jailer is already probably a 90% read, because if you have the counter spell, you don't want to give your opponent a personal Howling Mine. But
Yeah.
this Gideon ends the game real quick.
Yep. And I think we're gonna see a brainstorm here. Yep.
Yeah. So here's a Brainstorm.
So what does I think Justin needs to look at his hand, pitch two things that he does not need at all, and then cracks his fetch and then counters it. I think that's the play.
Yeah. Although, because this is interesting though, right? Because Justin has a Terminus in hand, right? So he can. Yes. Oh, okay. So he can put that Terminus back on top of his deck, sweep the board, and then he's back to nothing against Michael's personal Howling Mine and Gideon, which sounds kind of awful, but I mean, assuming the Gideon resolves, right? Like that's kind of like the worst. That's kind of like Justin's average case scenario, right?
Yeah.
Is he has a Terminus on top of his deck and against a Gideon, and then he casts
So,
Terminus and he has Gideon.
Just me, or did Justin just tap his fetch land for mana?
No. That was a Rishon Import.
Oh, that was a port? Okay.
Yeah, Michael tapped it down with
Okay.
Rishon Import.
All right.
So, and Justin chose to tap it down rather than fetching, which is kind of interesting.
I think you want to.
Sure.
I think you want to preserve your life total a bit more against an aggressive deck.
I think what might actually be happening here is Justin put back Terminus on top, and he wants to flip Terminus, untap, and fetch away the other card.
Yeah.
I think what's going on here.
I mean that works.
I mean, as I said, this is going to wind up with Justin having lands against Michael having... Yeah, there's the Terminus. Yeah. Against Michael having Gideon, Aether Vial, Monarch Token.
And that's exactly it. He cast the Terminus and then,
So what's going on here? Are we fetching?
It looks like we're fetching.
Looks like Michael has priority. He's trying to do something, but...
So he's revealed...
Oh, Flicker Wisp. That's what's going on here. So Michael has a Vial on 3 up, and he has a Flicker Wisp in play. So what he can do is he can Flicker Wisp. So he's doing this in response to the... Okay.
So what has he flipped?
He's Flicker Wisped his Recruiter of the Guard.
Okay. And he grabs Tundra, pays for Terminus.
Yeah, so those go away. Recruiter of the Guard comes back. Oh, and then Michael gets to tutor up something else. Where Michael's probably gonna tutor up. He has. Does he have a second? Where is this? No, he's only got the. Oh yeah, he has 2 Sanctum Prelates in his 75. So my guess is Michael's probably going to tutor up another Sanctum Prelate, Vial in that second Sanctum Prelate.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's just going to lock Justin out of 1-drops. And so that's going to lock Justin out of Swords to Plowshares and all the cantrips that he's going to need to find Terminus. To find another Terminus to get rid of this board, right?
Yes. Well, let's see what he gets here.
Oh, or he can get the Flicker Wisp back, right? So he can Flicker Wisp, get the Recruiter again, and then tutor for something else later, right?
I mean...
He can just chain off Flicker Wisps, right? And just go off, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing that he can do. Yeah, okay, that's what it looks like he's going to choose to do.
I mean, if you're going to tutor, you might as well just go for it.
Yeah, but I mean, this is slow, right? Like this is like I'm getting 1 card a turn, and I'm just gonna beat you down in 17 turns with a million Flicker Wisps, right? But you're gonna die to it. You're gonna die to this. You are 100% dead to this. But I'm just gonna it's gonna take me forever to do it.
Well, what is that? There was a lock in Modern, Eternal Witness and Cryptic Command.
Yeah.
It's hey, I can lock you out of the game. If Michael can block...
it looks like Michael drew a Wasteland. Michael drew a Wasteland, so Michael's going to take out one of Justin's already short. Justin's already short on lands, and Michael's just going to take out more of them.
Yeah. And there goes another ally token. I think it's a knight.
Knight ally, yes. Yeah. So here's the Wasteland. So if I was Michael here, I'd probably Wasteland now. Yeah, Wasteland now. Make Justin fire off the Source of Plowshares right now, where you can Flicker Wisp in to save your guy.
Yeah.
And then go to combat. Go to combat. Beat for 1. I can't see what else is in Michael's hand, so I don't know exactly what he's on. And Justin looks like he's got a Source of Plowshares in his hand.
Yeah. Now I'm presuming that he floated a white, and we just because.
Oh yeah, he probably did.
Right. So okay. He decides not to use the swords, which makes sense because Michael has the Flicker Wisp in hand,
and Justin knows about it.
Yeah, and the vial is up.
Yeah. Oh, Mirren Crusader.
Well then,
Mirren Crusader. That's
your little friend.
That's a card.
Yep.
Okay, so he draws a card on his end steps. So let's count this out. So if Michael ultimates his Gideon next turn, right?
Yes.
That Mirren Crusader is a 3/3, so that's 6 damage.
Yep.
7/8 from the recruiter.
Right? Yeah.
7/8 from the recruiter. 9, 10, 11 from the Knight token, and then Flicker Wisp. That's lethal.
Yeah.
So if
he needs to find an answer, a land and an answer. Because Port is probably going to keep that Tundra down, so he can't turn this.
Right. Although what's kind of interesting is Justin could have Swords to Plow, like in response to using the Rishon Port, Justin could have plowed the Knight Ally token, right? Mm-hmm. So that Knight Ally token doesn't come back on end step when it gets Flicker Wisp, right? Would that have even made a difference? Because then it would have been 6, 10, 12. No, that's still lethal. Yeah. Just that still doesn't help Justin. All right, so yeah, Justin packed it in.
Yeah, so Michael Rogers is the winner of Challenge event, and we will be returning next week with another event. You can tune in for the top 8 of that. Well, don't worry, we'll send out a notification on when that is happening. But thank you everyone for watching. And now it's time for me to go do post-event stuff. And thank you, Lyle, for coming in today and doing this with us. Fantastic job. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for having me. It was really fun to do commentary.
Yep. Bye.